Alrighty. I'm just letting my DeviantArt followers know that I'm streaming. That's my stream. Yes, that is it. It's like trying to think of the fastest way to get the link. Oh. Excuse me. All right. Had a little bit of a technical hiccup because of a really sad reason. I forgot how to find the link to my stream, and I was trying to frantically post it on my DeviantArt, so that happened. Just make sure everything's going okay. I'm gonna have the chat open on my phone so I can chat with you guys there. Everything's going okay. And there it is. Cool. All right. Cool. Just from fair warning, we have someone coming over to do something to the wall in our kitchen. I don't know exactly what is going on, but at about 11:30 I'm gonna have to run off and take care of that, but it shouldn't take me too long before I come back. Just picking some musics. So what are you doing? Kitty. Small. Cute. This is the new Jessica Hoop album. Okay. So when I said I'd do this stream, I didn't actually know what I was going to draw. But last night, I had a dream about these cute little salamander creature things. And so I'm going to draw those guys, or as best I can remember them. So I start off by doing a thumbnail sketch, so it's just something super small. I'm going to make my canvas not white. All right. this music is kind of distracting. I'm gonna put on some noises. I'm gonna put on my go-to background music, Austin Winter. Sorry that this is taking a while to start up. I'm just trying to get into it. Cool. Alright. I'm going to start by drawing a tiny little sketch, like super tiny. I just want to get an overall flow going. And I accidentally undid my grayscale. Having a hard time remembering what these little guys looked like. There were actually 3 different ones in my dream, but there was one that was like especially cute, so I want to draw that one. He had like a really big head and tiny little salamander arms. And yeah, I'm liking that. But he was also very fish-like, so I'm gonna have to figure out how I want to do that. Alright, so there's my teeny tiny thumbnail sketch. I purposely draw it very small too, I don't zoom in. And this really helps me get an overall look that I want. Then I explode it and start working from here. So I'm gonna put this layer, I'm gonna lower the opacity of that layer. And I would be labeling my layers, but because I'm in tablet mode, it's really awkward to do that. So I just usually leave them unlabeled. And then once I get a lot of layers, I go in and label all of them. But that's one thing that is a little annoying about the Surface Pro, is that the keyboard has to be attached to the device to work. I can't take it, remove it, and use it like underneath or something like that. It can be a little irritating. I wish I could like double it as a Bluetooth keyboard. There's probably some kind of you know, aftermarket keyboard I could get to fix this problem, but I don't need to be spending more money on a problem that, you know, I can kind of live with. It's not quite right. They kind of looked like little, like, axolotl dragons. Had a big old, like, dumpy nose. But I don't want it to look like a shark. As with all my streams, I apologize for my bird. Well, thank you for putting up with my bird. He's a big old tooter, big tweeper. But it's funny because, like, people always point it out in streams. I'm so used to his tweeting that I'm like, oh yeah, that's probably kind of annoying, huh? That might be as close as I can get with this guy. This might be so, like, even at this stage I can already tell that I'm really going to like this end product. With this challenge, the Beastuary challenge, I've been really trying to just make things that are very unique, and I've been kind of struggling with that. I'm not sure why, but you know, everything I've done so far, I kind of look at it and I'm like, I feel like I've seen that in a movie or something before. But this guy, I'm having fun with this guy. When I woke up this morning, I was so excited that I, like, dreamt about this little guy, because I totally, like, had no idea what I was gonna draw today. I'm gonna figure out an eye placement for him. Very crucial step. Just, it's funny how moving the eye just a tiny, tiny bit makes, like, a world of difference in the character of the face. I think I like that eye placement. I might give him little, like, squinty eyes. So cute. Ah! Dropped my phone. Give them a lot of nostrils and like little sensory holes on the top of the head. One thing that's really cool about fish, and I wish humans had, is that they have like their nostrils, water just flows through their nostrils and then goes out another hole, and they take in all their scents that way. And I think that is just like such a cool, like efficient little system. I wish my nose was like that. But no, we have to like take in air through our nose, goes down into our lungs, and goes back out. Which, I mean, we kind of need that, but it'd be cool if we didn't, and we could just have like everything we needed for our nose was just like right where our nose was. Have lobed fins for his back feet, kind of like a coelacanth. Yeah, I like that. Oh. Hey! That is my friend's dad. I will be right back. He's gonna come fix our kitchen. Yeah. Whoa. Good girl. Go in my room. Come on. In here. Come on. Alright. Sorry about that, guys. This always happens. Anytime I schedule something, my dad's like, "Oh, you're gonna be home? I'm having this person come to work on the house." Yeah. It's a little irritating. Chell! Chell's nuzzling me. Nuzzling me. Okay. Jeez. It's like super warm today. It's gotta be like close to 50 degrees. I don't like it. Don't like it one bit. Alright, here's my creature. So, the next step, I've been trying different kinds of techniques for the Beastuary challenge, and for this one, I kind of want it to look soft, so I think I'm going to stick to a very painterly style. So the next step I'm going to do is just putting down a base coat. I wonder if I should try playing with the watercolor brushes, because I haven't really used them to my advantage yet. I don't really know how, but maybe this is a good opportunity to try. So at this stage I usually just like play with several different kinds of brushes and see which ones kind of fit the like aesthetic I want. That one's pretty good. It's really nice to be able to lay down a texture like that right away. Yeah, that one might be good. Let's see what else we got. I'm not super familiar with this process, or with this program yet. Mega loaded. Oh, that's a multiply. I don't want the multiply concept. Will opaque loaded. See, I don't like the brush strokes. Block in renderer, block in bristle. Let's pick a better color. So these guys were kind of a tan color in my dream, so I think I'll start with a nice medium tan. Oops, I'm drawing on the sketch layer. So I'm gonna go with one of these watercolor brushes. Wash, build up, I don't want to wash. Kenny. Don't want to multiply one. Definitely don't want that. Wash, build up, mega loaded. Okay, I like this. Let's do this. it'll kind of give a bumpy skin effect. So I'm going to put my my detailed sketch, I'm going to lower the opacity and put it on multiply, so that way the darks show up when, no matter what, it'll show up no matter what color I put under it. I don't like that this is opaque. Is there a way I can not do that? What does that mean? I don't like that. I like the texture, but I don't like the fact that it's opaque. I mean, non-opaque. I like this one. Let's stick with this one. Put that back on multiply and keep going. Yeah, I think this will be good. So I'm just gonna block in the sky all the way. So the dogs are locked in here right now because they they like to get in everyone's way when they're working, so no, I don't. This is one problem I have with using a tablet, is that my hands will touch things I don't want them to touch. I should so let's call it Axel, short for axolotl. Cool. Excuse me. So, I use the surface dial to change brushes or change brush sizes, but randomly sometimes it doesn't want to work. Like I'm rotating it, but it's not changing my brush size, which is super irritating. Like sometimes it just, I'd say like 40% of the time it just decides not to work, which is really irritating. I'd be super irritated if I actually bought it, but it was a gift, so sometimes I just pretend it doesn't exist. But yeah, I want to do a review on the Surface soon. Yeah, it's not wanting to work. This is great. All right. This challenge has been amazing in getting me to be better at sketching digitally, because before quite recently I loathed sketching digitally. I used to always sketch with a pencil and paper and then scan it in, which is, you know, kind of irritating. But it was the only way I could get a sketch the way I wanted it. But this challenge, I've been forcing myself to sketch digitally. It's really been helping. Okay, so there's the block in layer. So now I'm going to make a new layer above that one. And I'm going to push this clip at layer below. So now anything that I put in this layer is going to stick to the base layer. So let's show you. See, there's this bright pink color. And even when I pull my brush away from the body, it doesn't paint. So that's pretty cool. It's a really, really useful tool, clipping masks or clipping layers. Great for shading too. Or the opacity of my sketch layer now. I like to have it really opaque so I can just really see what I'm sketching. Or not opaque, is what I meant. I think I'm just going to keep using this brush. I like it. Textured or regular. And my surface style is deciding to still not work. Sometimes I have to take the batteries out. There we go. That worked. Sometimes that works, sometimes it doesn't. Okay, so this guy was a pretty uniform color in my dream. I'm gonna add some color. Just checking my stream really quick. Okay. So I am going to make a slightly darker color of a different hue. I'm going to make it a little more reddish. So now I'm going to go in here and just kind of add some like some blushing, just to give his coloring a less uniform look. Now that I look at this, it's really kind of looking like flesh, or like a specimen that's been sitting in ethanol. I don't know if I want that, so I'm going to change this hue by going to Edit, Tonal Correction, Hue, and I'm going to make him a little more brown. So that's a good thing for brown. And then I'm just going to lower the brightness. There we go. So now he's more brown. I can push it even more. That's probably a brown. That's good. Still looks a lot like human skin, which... So I'm going to do the same thing to the texture layer. Lower that brightness. I want it to be a subtle texture though, so I'm not going to change it too much. Make it a little more orange maybe. Well, this color's kind of hurting my eyes for now, but it has kind of the quality I want, just really dim, which I can live with that for now. So I'm just going to keep them like this, and then, excuse me, change it later. I decided to just undo all that because it was actually like hurting my eyes how dull those colors were. So alright, I'm gonna add another texture layer. This time I'm going to make it kind of a let's do like a greenish, and I'm gonna make it pretty dark. So let's go over to green and do actually just slightly darker. I'm gonna get a different brush. Let's use Sloppy Sam. So this gives a pretty nice like fingerprint-like texture. And again, I'm going to clip that layer to the layers below. That's kind of too neon of a green. I'm going to make it duller by making it more gray, maybe a little darker. That's pretty good. And I'm going to make this let's try a color burn layer. That's pretty nice. It's a nice texture. Let's try overlay. Or hard light. Screen. Color dodge. Linear burn. That's pretty good. Like a... I'm just trying to make layers of texture here to make this guy just kind of look more interesting. And you can see that I'm changing my mind a lot because I'm just playing. I really like this brush though. Okay, so that's a good like base of texture. Okay, now I like to do the shading pretty early in the process, so I'm going to start doing some shading. We're going to do a more like realistic soft shading, and I like to use a fun brush for shading. Let's stick to the textured irregular brush because it's been super fun. I try to stick to minimal brushes when I'm painting just to make it easier on myself, and also kind of makes it fun and interesting. Let's use a warm shading. How about a purple shading? And I'm gonna put this layer on, multiply half opacity. And this way I'll get to see hard-earned shading or textures. Right now I'm just putting in some basic blocks of shading, and I'm going to blend it out later. So I don't have to worry too much about how it looks. Yeah? I'll be right back, guys. Yeah?
You know?
With what?
Get lunch for us?
I'm
working. I know, but you don't have a boss. All we have to do is just go pick it up and mod pizza and come back.
okay. I'll put it. Can you put in the order?
Of course I will.
Okay.
But, what do you want? Salad or pizza? No.
Can you give me that?
You don't think so, Lee?
Alright, there's the shading. Now I'm going to put in some highlighting. So I'm going to start. He's supposed to be underwater, so, but in kind of muddy water, so maybe I'll make it a greenish highlights. And again, I'm just putting in like very general highlighting. I like to use a big brush for this. And I just try to think about where the light would land if it was hitting this creature. But I don't like to overthink it too much. There we go. And I'm liking that color a lot. So I'm going to turn this into an add layer. Sometimes it takes some playing around to get what you want. About glow dodge. No. Color dodge? No. I really like this add filter for highlights. Okay, now I'm going to start blending. But before that, I'll be right back. Stay. Timmy, Tim! Oh no, what are you doing? Alright. Like, seriously, of course, on the day I decide to do a scheduled stream, there's just all kinds of stupid stuff going on. Let's turn back on the music. Alright, so now I'm gonna blend this out, and I'm using the blending tool and the soothing watercolor blending tool. I'm gonna try this. Yeah, I'm liking it. I like that it keeps the texture. What about the... I'm gonna try the running color on fiber blending tool. I like this one more. So I'm gonna undo everything I just did. Or, as far as blending. I'm using the running color on fiber tool. I'm just gonna like make this look a little more natural. I'm going to use the blend tool because I'm not too happy with the highlighting on the head and the kind of the right side of the body there, the thorax. So when I use this just general blend tool, kind of erases. Kind of works as a blending eraser a little bit, but like not as harsh as a real eraser, an actual eraser. So I'm liking this. It does a really, really nice like soft blend. There we go. Yeah, so I'm happy with that. Now I'm gonna blend the shade layer. Oops. But I want to keep using that running color on fiber. So you can see that makes a really interesting, cool texture. I'm not a big fan of this brown, so I'm going to change that later, but we don't have to worry about that now. So I can kind of push and pull the shading with this tool, which is really fun and nice and fast, really fast. So I'm changing sizes as I'm going to make some of these edges sharp, some of them soft. I'm just that. And after I do this, I'm going to work on some reflective shading as if the sky was swimming close to the ground. Excuse me. So I'm going to add just a little dab of color right there using the color of this layer, which is this deep purple. I'm going to undo that. I was just turning this layer into normal and then fully opaque to grab the color so that I can put a little bit of color right here and right here to kind of define where this fin is. And now I'm going to go back to the blending tool and blend that out. Render it. Create a little more definition right there. Excuse me. Okay, so there's my shading. So now that that's done, I'm going to go in. I'm really not a fan of this shading color, so I'm gonna change that with tonal correction, hue. I'm just gonna scroll through these hues until I hit one that I like. I want to up the saturation so that I can actually see the hue. And there's no real rule for this. You can go with any kind of shading color. But I just go until I find something that is pleasing to my eye. Kind of like that one. I don't really want to go with a reddish shading because I don't want this guy to kind of look like, I don't want it to look like human flesh. So a green is pretty good because human flesh tends to have a reddish shading on it because of the way light bounces off the blood underneath our skin, blah blah blah. I do like this green right here. I'm gonna play with the brightness really quick, see what happens when I do that. The saturation. So yeah, I like that. I like this shading. So we can, if I go backwards, this is what it looked like before, after. Now I'm going to add some reflective shading on this layer. So I'm going to use my same brush, the Painterly Textured Irregular. And I haven't really figured out a good technique for this. But let's try doing an add layer with a really opaque brown. Or orange. Maybe a little more yellowish green. Try to lower that opacity. So I'm just gonna go with this color for now. It's not the best. Maybe I'll make it a little more dull. Yeah, okay. So I'm going to do an add layer. No, that's a little too glowy. Let's try an overlay. Let's try an overlay with a lighter hue. Kind of figuring this out right now. And you know, I could just keep going. This is something that is very easy to fix later. So that's okay for now. So I'm gonna go ahead and add some reflective shading. And this is as if light is coming down, hitting the bottom of wherever this guy is living. So I'm gonna say he lives at the bottom of a river. So this light is coming down, hitting the algae on the bottom of the river and reflecting it onto the underside of this little guy. And doing this adds a lot of dimensionality to your character. And I am by no means an expert on this, so I'm just doing what looks good to my eye and what might, you know, kind of just makes sense. And reflective shading is usually quite soft, unlike highlighting, so I'm gonna just really soften this up. And then I'm gonna play with the color. Kind of almost looks like he's in, like there's a neon green light glowing underneath him right now. It's not really what I want, but you can see already that this layer makes him really 3D. So I lowered the opacity and I'm liking that result. I'm gonna go back to tonal correction, go into hue. Let's play with the hue a little bit. This is one of the more enjoyable parts of this process, is playing, looking at stuff in different angles. So I'm liking this cooler green color for it. Let's play with the saturation now. So this is a lower saturation, higher saturation. Okay, with a little lower. Now let's play with brightness. Here's the highest brightness. This actually makes it white. Here's the lowest brightness, makes it black. So I'm just gonna like play with this slider, move it around until I see something that looks good to me. So that's looking good. I like that. I always like to go back and forth with the undo and redo buttons and see how much my change has affected the overall drawing, and I'm liking it. So that's my little buddy so far. So now I'm going to, what was I gonna do? I'm liking this quite a bit. I think I'm gonna start adding some details. So I want the details to be under the shading layer, but over the texture layers. So here's the end of my texture layers. This is the point where I'd usually go in and start labeling my layers. But for now, I think it's okay to just keep going. Alright, so I'm going to add some details. I'm going to start with the eye. In my dream, he had a pretty pale eye, kind of like a fish. So I'm going to go in with a very pale but dull blue kind of color in that area. Maybe push the dullness a little more there. There we go. And then the pupil. So fish pupils are pretty, like, they're never a perfect circle. So there's the pupil. And this guy's actually got lids. So I'm going to draw some lids over that. Some people would do this on another layer. I'm just going to do it in this layer. Let's shrink my brush here. There's the eye. Fishy eye. I'm gonna add a little more small dark details here. Make it pop a little more. Put on some eyeliner. And then I'm going to add an eye shine layer right above that. I'm just going to make it white. Fish have pretty flat eyes, so the shine tends to be very boxy. And I'm just going to lower that opacity like so. You know, I'm actually not liking that. I think I'm just gonna leave it the way it is. I usually do this with eye shine. I don't know what it is, but like, I don't know. I always feel like I lose something in my personal drawings when I add the highlight on the eye. Not really sure why, but it just happens. Now I'm gonna add some definition of the mouth. This is shading I'm adding underneath my actual shading layer. I don't know if this is the best thing to do, but it's working okay for me. I'm using a really light touch here too. Alright, so there's the mouth, and then I'm going to add some little teeth. So I'm going to make the teeth kind of yellowish. Yellow. Just sticking out under here. It's a pretty good overbite. I just had a thought. I'm gonna try something a little dramatic. Ah! I've got my eraser out. I I like the bulbous nose. I just kind of was thinking, what if he kind of had a pointier nose? I don't know. He looks pretty unique with his bulbous nose. I'm kind of thinking of making him kind of like a very highly sensory animal, because he's got all these sensory organs on his face. So I'm just gonna stick to that. So now I'm gonna push the shading on these cute little sensory organs on his nose. And I'm gonna make the little holes for smelling different kinds of chemicals, and maybe sensing the magnetism of the things around him. I just realized I did this all underneath the texture layers, which is not good. So I'm going to go back to my detail layer and try that again. There, that's better. I'm gonna start adding some details on the upper layer. Skipping school looks really cool so far. Thank you so much. I'm having a lot of fun. I'm really glad I did this live stream. I think it's helping me kind of just slow down and pick apart my process a little bit. Here's the guy so far. Working on the head details. I think I'm done with the head. Pretty good. Now I'm gonna start with the gills. I'm gonna do some deep more detailing there. I'm just adding some lines to push some of these dimensions. Some lines here, and my dial is deciding to not work again. Just try to take out batteries. Come on, Microsoft. Throw me a bone. Oops, did I put the battery in wrong? There we go. Thank you. Oops. Whoa. What brush is this? Oh, it's on the grass brush? I don't want grass. There we go. It's important to keep zooming out to make sure I'm not really losing the focus of my piece, because it can be easy to do that. I'm going to add some dark lines here, make sure we know what's going on. A sharp highlight. Alright. I'm going to take a quick bathroom break. Be right back. Stay. The dogs are mad because they have to be locked in here all alone. Excuse me. Oh my goodness. I'm dying. Alright. Here's how he's going so far. I'm liking it. Liking it a lot. Just trying to decide what to do next. His arm kind of looks like the end of a balloon animal right now. So I think I'm going to add some little claws. Add some little claws. Tiny brush. For little claws. There we go. I'm going to add this color. Add little claws, like actual little nails. Oh my goodness, that's so cute. That's making me laugh. It's just like this tiny, tiny little hand. Okay, back on task. I'm gonna push some of these shadows on the fin. The only complaint I have about Clip Studio is that the erasers suck. There's gotta be a way to just apply the brushes I have to the erasers, but I haven't figured that out yet. But once I do figure that out, it's gonna make my life so much better. I did forget to I forgot to blend this part of the shading, so I'm gonna do that real quick. Cool. Alright, go back to my detail layer, keep working on that. In the end, I'm going to make the fins transparent looking. Sorry, I'm grabbing my charger. There we go. 25% battery. There we go. Alright. I'm gonna grab some of this highlighting, make my brush small, just keep working this part. I'm wondering if I should even keep that detail there. Excuse me. Ugh. Erase this very softly. Erase these. These fin rays, so that they're just a suggestion of fin rays. They're not actually overpowering the piece. Do want to make sure that the line where the fin ends and the body begins is well defined. I'll do that by grabbing some dark shading, just kind of suggesting the end of the fin right there. That looks alright. Cool. Alright, now I'm going to move on to this lobed fin, which I'm not going to spend too much time on. The rest of the body, I don't want to have too much detail in it for the sake of, you don't want to have, so like the human eye is drawn to the places with most detail usually in a piece. So you want to make sure the important places have a lot of detail, but not as necessary for the less important places. And the most important places for detail with this guy are the head and probably the back fin. Maybe that front arm, I'll add some more to that. But other than that, I'm just gonna suggest detail. And the human brain does a great job of filling in any gaps. Okay, so I'm gonna work on this little arm. Make it look less like a balloon animal arm. Maybe I'll add some cute little details. Little lobes. Okay, cool. So I think with that, we are done. So that was about an hour, maybe an hour and a half, an hour to finish this guy, which is an amazing improvement compared to, you know, my first Inktober drawings, which were not nearly this detailed and took me a very long time. I'm going to add my signature down here, but before I save, actually I'll save now. Signature, boop. I am going to play with these colors. So I'm going to make a correction layer. Let's play with the hue first. So I can make him warmer, I can make him purple, I can make him blue. I love playing with hue. But I don't like that pink, you know? I'm okay with that, the color he is. And then now I'm gonna play with saturation. If you put saturation all the way up, makes a horrible neon monster. Saturation all the way down makes grayscale. I like to see those two extremes so I can see how much worse my painting could look. And then I'm just gonna push it up and down, see what looks good. Saturation up a little bit helps. Brightness, I'm pretty, okay. So yeah, I just upped the saturation a bit. Shoot, I just lost my layer. That's what happens when you use a pen. I had it at like 7. Okay, so now you can see it's with saturation, without. It's a pretty good difference. Makes it more vivid. Now I'm going to make another correction layer, level correction. This is going to help me push the shadows and midtones a bit, make them look even more dimensional. And again, I'm just going to be sliding these back and forth until I see something that I like. Okay, I like that. So here's without the level correction, here's with the level correction. Yeah, it's good. Now I'm gonna change the background color because it's just this boring gray right now. I'm gonna change it to maybe a dark blue. But because it's gray, I can't change it. So let's change it to this blue. And as long as it has any kind of color, I can fix it. Like that greenish blue. Push the saturation down a little. And then the brightness is white. Is black. I tend to like a darker background with my pieces. Alright. There's our little guy. I'm gonna crop the picture. Okay, there's our dude. I'm pretty happy with this. Alright, thank you guys for joining. You know what? I'm gonna do one more thing. I'm gonna soften the shading a bit. Oh, and I was gonna make the fins transparent. We'll do that after I just that this didn't make much sense. Just gonna soften that up. Okay, and then I'm also gonna soften this highlight right here because what was I thinking? I'm gonna blur that highlight. You know what? I'm gonna undo what I did right there. I'm just gonna blur it using the blend, and it, like I said before, it kind of acts like an eraser. I do it for the shading. There we go. Nice. All right. Did that, and now I'm gonna go in and use my eraser tool. I have a very soft eraser on, and I'm just gonna, right now I'm in my base layer right here, and I'm gonna go in and just soften up very lightly these fins to suggest that they're a little transparent. And I'm not going to go over where the body is behind it. And, you know, I'm just going to redo this. There we go. So we've got a transparent fin there. I use a smaller brush to define the edge of the transparency, and then I make it bigger to define the rest. Okay. There's Mr. Axolotl fishy thingy. All done. See it? Alright, thank you guys so much for joining. This is going to be in my YouTube after this is all done. So go watch it there. Maybe I'll make a time lapse of it later. We'll see. So, alright. Thanks for watching, everybody. Have a great day. I hope that you can go draw something today. And have a good one. Bye. Stop the stream.